Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Inum, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu adjusts posting of ambassadors-designate. The national grid collapses for the first time in 2026. Plus, Ukraine, Russia and US to hold talks today. Stay tuned for detail of these stories and even more in a moment. Good afternoon, happy Friday, and welcome back to Spectrum News within the hour. We begin the news at 4 from the national scene where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has adjusted the posting of ambassadors-designate as 3 have been approved out of the 68 confirmed by the Senate in December. Recall that there was an earlier statement from the presidency stating that the president approved the posting of 4 ambassadors-designate. However, in the updated statement, the presidency only listed 3 of the ambassadors-designate approved for posting. In the updated statement issued by the presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu confirmed the postings of Ambassador Ayodele Oke as the ambassador-designate to France and Colonel Lateef Are as the ambassador-designate to the United States of America. Also confirmed by the president in the statement is the posting of Ambassador Amin Dalhatu, former ambassador to South Korea, as the High Commissioner-designate to the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the gazetting of targeted investment-linked incentives to support the proposed Bonga Southwest Deep Offshore Oil Project. A statement by Special Advisor to the President, Media and Public Communications, Sunday Dare, noted that the President has also directed his Special Advisor on Energy, Olu Vehejian, to facilitate the gazette of the incentives in line with Nigeria's existing legal and fiscal frameworks, receiving Shell delegation led by its Global Chief Executive Officer, Wael Sawan. President Tinubu said the incentives are disciplined, targeted and globally competitive, designed to attract new capital without undermining government revenues. President Tinubu emphasized that the Bonga Southwest project is strategic to Nigeria's economy, with the potential to create thousands of direct and indirect jobs, generate significant foreign exchange inflows, and deliver sustained government revenues over the life of the project. Away from that, the federal government has banned electricity distribution companies and installers from collecting any form of payment for meters, warning that DISCO officials and installers found extorting customers will be prosecuted. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, issued the warning during an on-site inspection of newly imported smart meters at APM terminals, Apapa, Lagos. Adelabu said the meters were procured under the World Bank-funded Distribution Sector Recovery Program and must be installed for consumers free of charge, stressing that any demand for money would be treated as an offense. Adelabu, who was received into the Apapa Port Command of the Nigerian Customs Service by Area Controller Emmanuel Oshoba, expressed happiness over the importation of another tranche of 500,000 smart meters under DISREP. He said the meters would be given to all electricity customers regardless of their band. Meanwhile, the federal government has said its security collaboration with the United States has strengthened counter-terrorism operations, especially in the Northeast, Northwest and North Central. The government reiterated its commitment to strengthening cooperation to better protect lives and property, across the country. The National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu and Information and National Orientation Minister Mohammed Idris stated that Nigeria was delighted that the security tie respects the country's sovereignty and prioritizes accountability and civilian protection. Ribadu and Idris spoke at the plenary session of the Nigeria-US Joint Working Group to address the country of particular concern, CPC designation of the country at the NSA office in Abuja. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has warned Nigerians against trivializing the 2027 general elections, stressing that selling votes for money could negatively affect the country for the next 4 years. The Director of Voter Education at INEC, Victoria Etamesi, gave the warning today while responding to questions on vote buying during a live broadcast. Etamesi said INEC's voter sensitization campaigns are aimed at appealing to the conscience of citizens to understand the long-term consequences of their electoral choices. According to her, the success or failure of the country largely depends on the decisions Nigerians make during elections, adding that the nation belongs to the citizens and their choices at the polls matter. In another development, Nigeria's national electricity grid suffered a total collapse today, plunging parts of the country into blackout in the first such incident recorded in 2026. Figures from the Nigerian Independent System Operator (NISO) indicate that power generation fell to 0 megawatts, while electricity supply to all 11 distribution companies dropped completely at about 1 p.m. The affected distribution firms include Benin, Eko, Enugu, Ikeja, Jos, Kaduna, Kano, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, Abuja and Yola, all of which recorded zero load allocation at the time of the collapse. The incident comes months after a series of grid failures in 2025, with the most recent occurring on December 29th. These repeated breakdowns have persisted despite ongoing efforts to strengthen and expand the country's power infrastructure. And now to Africa, where Guinea-Bissau has halted a US-backed hepatitis B vaccine study on newborns, pending an emergency ethical review. The country's health ministry says a 6-member ethics committee never met before the study was approved, a major red flag. The ministry noted that the trial would randomly vaccinate some newborns and withhold the shot from others, tracking illness, death and development. Meanwhile, U.S. health officials insist the study is still moving forward. The study planned to follow 14,000 newborns over 5 years. On the foreign scene, Russian, Ukrainian and U.S. negotiators are heading to Abu Dhabi today for what is expected to be the first trilateral talks since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. This comes after Russia's President Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump's envoy held what the Kremlin called useful but frank talks in Moscow. Recall that at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he had reached an agreement with Donald Trump on the future of U.S. security guarantees for Ukraine in the event of a deal. And still on the foreign scene, Japanese Prime Minister Senai Takaichi has dissolved parliament today ahead of a snap election on February 8, counting on her cabinet's high poll numbers to steer her ruling party to victory. Recall that the country's first woman premier had announced her intentions on Monday, seeking public backing for measures to shield households from rising living costs and increased spending on defense. The Speaker of Parliament read out a letter officially dissolving the lower house today. Reports say the ruling coalition of the Kaichi's Liberal Democratic Party (LDP) and the Japan Innovation Party (JIP) has only a slim majority in the powerful lower chamber. And still to come in the news. Super Eagles midfielder Onyedika pushes to leave Club Brugge. Stay tuned for detail of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News within the hour. Continuing now from our business news, President Bola Tinubu has approved the commencement of commercial oil drilling at Tunjeji Island in Ikpokia local government area of Ogun State. Governor Dakpo Abiodun disclosed this while receiving the flag officer commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Abubakar Abdullahi Mustafa, alongside senior officers of the command during a courtesy visit to the office in Okemoson, Abeokuta. The governor also revealed that the president had approved the immediate takeoff of the Olokola Deep Sea Port project located in Ogun Waterside local government area, describing the decision as a major breakthrough after years of anticipation surrounding the multi-dollar port project. Abiodun said both projects were of special interest to President Tinubu, noting that while the Olokola Deep Sea Port would significantly decongest the Lagos Port's commercial oil and its drilling at Tonkeji Island, it would promote inclusion and economic empowerment for residents of coastal communities. And still in business, Nigeria's equity market recorded a historic performance in 2025 as total transactions rose sharply to 11.92 trillion naira, driven by a resurgence in foreign portfolio participation and sustained dominance by domestic investors. According to the domestic and foreign portfolio participation in equity trading summary of transactions as of 31st December 2025, released by the Nigerian Exchange Limited yesterday, market activity more than doubled from 5.59 trillion naira in 2024 to 11.92 trillion naira in 2025, reflecting a year-on-year growth of 113.39% on a monthly basis. Market momentum accelerated strongly towards year-end. Total transactions increased by 42.13% from 971.1 billion naira in November 2025 to 1.38 trillion naira in December 2025. In health, the Director General of the National Agency of Food, Drug and Administration Control, NAFDAC, Christiana Adeyeye, has assured Nigerians of the agency's commitment to reducing crimes associated with food registration processes in order to safeguard public health. Adeyeye said NAFDAC had adopted technology to prevent the undermining of enforcement effectiveness, warning that regulatory tools must keep pace with increasingly sophisticated criminal networks. She disclosed this at a press briefing in Lagos, where she said regulatory modernization had become a strategic imperative to ensure that the agency's systems remain credible, efficient, transparent and fit for purpose, while protecting public health and supporting access to quality, safe and effective regulated products. According to her, NAFDAC's modernization drive is anchored on 5 strategic pillars: strong leadership and governance, institutionalization of best practices, safety and quality of regulated products, continuous monitoring alongside the supply chain, and efficient financial and performance management. And still in health, the Benue State Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Dr. Paul Ogweche, has disclosed that 2 people have died from Lassa fever in the state. Recall that the commissioner had on Sunday alerted residents to an outbreak of the disease, stating that 7 people had been infected. Speaking to journalists in Makurdi, Ogweche said there had been an upsurge in Lassa fever cases in the state over the past 2 weeks. According to him, 2 additional suspected cases were recently recorded on the state's dashboard, bringing the total number of suspected cases to 9, out of which 5 tested positive, with 2 fatalities recorded. He identified Makurdi and Buruku local government areas as the most affected, adding that 2 health workers were among those infected. And now to sports, where Super Eagles midfielder Rafael Onyedika has said that he is eager to leave Belgian Pro League outfit Club Brugge before the end of the current transfer window. According to reports, Turkish Super League champions Galatasaray have indicated keen interest in the defensive midfielder and have agreed to personal terms with his representatives. Club Brugge have, however, rejected Galatasaray's bid for the Nigerian international and intend to keep the 24-year-old until the end of the season. Meanwhile, Onyedika has 1.5 years left on his contract with Brugge. And still in sports, Derek Chisora will face former world heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder in London in April in his 50th career fight. Recall that Chisora, 42, said last year he would retire after a 50th bout, which would take place overseas. But reports say the Briton has instead chosen to take on Wilder in London on the 4th of April. The pair were due to fight 13 years ago, but Wilder withdrew from the bout after an arrest for domestic violence prevented him from traveling to the UK. On our entertainment news, rapper and singer Aziz Fashola, popularly known as Naira Marley, has expressed deep concern over the menace of courtism in the Nigerian music industry. Lamenting about the negative trend, Marley claimed that only a few Nigerian artists, including himself, are yet to join a cult. He mocked artists who join cults for power and protection, pointing out that even those who influence them to join still move around with police escorts for security. Meanwhile, Naira Marley had previously debunked rumors that he is a cultist, claiming that he was once threatened by cultists for refusing to join. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Inung. Enjoy the rest of your day.